this week I'm going to be trying to eat for just $1 a day. This will be including all of my breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. I did this back in 2023, but I wanted to see if it was still possible to do in 2024, but this week of meals is really perfect if you find yourself needing to stick to a lower grocery budget for about a week until you're able to get back to your normal grocery budget. But right now it is a little past 7 o'clock in the morning, so let's go head over to Walmart right now. I'm going to bring you guys along with me. Let's see what groceries that we could grab for the week. Then we're going to come back home. Then I'm going to get started on breakfast. I am looking for a variety of foods today that will stretch and are a good deal. I made my way down the frozen fruit and veggie aisle first. Frozen or canned vegetables are typically a lot less expensive than fresh vegetables, so I grabbed this 12-ounce bag of frozen mixed vegetables. Now I'm headed down the baking aisle for a treat this week. I have some fun ideas planned for this all-purpose baking mix. And I don't know about where you live, but as far as dry beans where I live, pinto beans are always the least expensive bean at my store for like a pound of beans. So I grabbed this 1-pound bag of pinto beans. I do want a pound of rice, and I noticed the brown rice was a little cheaper than the white rice. Brown rice is also better for you and higher in nutrients, so I'm excited about that. Now I'm in the produce area, and jalapenos are so inexpensive. They're loaded with vitamin C, and this little tiny jalapeno is under 20 cents, but it really will go far. I'll grab the rest of my produce and then see what I have. Alrighty, I think I picked up all of my groceries for the week. So the first thing I have is a dozen eggs. You can't go wrong with eggs. And then a pound of pinto beans. As you saw, I grabbed the brown rice over the white rice. And then my lentils, next white corn tortillas, this bag of frozen mixed vegetables. This is a larger bag. It's about 12 ounces, so it will really stretch. And then this all-purpose baking mix. I am really excited about this. And then for the produce area, I have an onion, garlic. This apple was on sale, so I'm excited about that. I wasn't going to get an apple originally, but I'm glad I am. And then jalapeno and tomato. Let's get home and let's get started on breakfast this week. I just got back from the store. I had a later start, so I'm about to begin on breakfast for day one. It is 9:13, so let's get it going. I'm starting out by batch cooking my biscuits for the week. I want to make about 10 biscuits for breakfast and for other meals. I am hoping to get 10 out of about 2 1/4 cup of baking mix. So I am going to just add that baking mix right in there. This is not all of the all-purpose baking mix. It's only about half of it. Next, I added in 2/3 cup of water. I'm using water over milk because I didn't grab milk from the store, and honestly, the biscuits will be just as good without the milk and using the water as a substitute. But give this a good mix until it is looking like this, and then you just want to knead it out on your countertop. Just make sure you sprinkle a little bit of that baking mix just so it doesn't stick to your countertop. But after you knead it, go ahead and roll it out thin. Then you want to make your biscuits into biscuits, and I am just using a regular cup to do so. But if you have a cookie cutter or something special, you could use that if you would like. Now I'll place my biscuits on a sheet pan, and I'm going to bake them until they are golden brown. Once they were out of the oven, I let them cool down just for a little bit, and then I stored them in a Ziploc bag. You could store them in a container if you would like, but now I'm going to get started on breakfast for days 1 through 4. I'm going to be using 2 eggs for my breakfast for each of these days, and instead of oil on my pan, since oil is expensive and I just didn't grab it from the store, I'm using a couple tablespoons of water. I let that water heat up, and then I just added my 2 eggs. The water will help prevent the eggs from sticking a little bit, and then I'm going to season the eggs just with simple salt and pepper. Once they were cooked, I just diced up a little tiny bit of my tomato. I want to stretch that tomato as far as I can. Here's what breakfast is looking like for days 1 through 4. I will basically make like a variation of this every day, kind of depending on what I am feeling for days 1 through 4, but I just have my biscuit, my 2 eggs, and then my tomato. I am about to eat this right now. This is actually more food than I normally eat at like breakfast time. I don't normally eat this much, so I am excited. Typically like in the morning, I am just getting my little ones ready and getting them food, and sometimes I forget to eat myself, but I am excited to eat this right now. I'm not going to be using these pinto beans on any of the first day's meals, so I am going to soak them overnight. Soaking them overnight is not necessary, but it does help you digest the beans better. It also cooks the beans evenly and quicker. But before I soak them in a large bowl of water, I do like to look through them, just remove any of the imperfect beans and then rinse them in water. And then there you go, put them in a large bowl and then let them soak overnight if you remember to or want to. Here's breakfast for day 2. I kind of did it a little differently today. So I kind of made a biscuit sandwich. So I did 2 fried eggs with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I did a sliced tomato as opposed to a diced tomato, and then I sliced some jalapenos. I'm really excited about this. This is kind of different, and if you know me, you know how much I love cheese, so this would be even more perfect with a slice of cheese on top, but I am excited for this breakfast. Now I'm on breakfast for days 5 through 7. I am making apple pancakes, and I'm going to be batch cooking all of the pancakes here on day 5, and then I'll store them in the fridge. I just added the remaining all-purpose baking mix into my bowl with about 3/4 cup of water and 1 egg. I gave it a really good mix, and then I placed it on my griddle. Now I have my apple right here. I'm dividing the apple up into each of these 3 days, and then I'm going to store the apple in a container with water. The water is going to prevent the apple from browning. And then I did leave a little section of that apple out. I'm going to dice it up for today's breakfast on day 5. I'm just going to cut it into super small pieces just like this. Once I'm finished cooking up my pancakes, I am just going to plate up some for me today, and then I'll store the rest of them in a bag in the fridge. I just finished up breakfast for days 5 through 7. I made about 10 pancakes total. One of the pancakes was just a little bit smaller, so I'll be having about 3 pancakes every day for one day if I'm feeling a little bit hungrier. But yeah, I just topped the pancakes with our fresh diced apple. I used part of the apple today, and I'll use the other parts of the apple for the next couple days. I do want to let you know, if you don't like fresh apple, you could also mix the apple in with the batter and then cook it in with the pancakes. That would be really good too. But the apple is going to add nice sweetness because I am not topping this with any types of syrups or any toppings, just because I'm just using the stuff we got from the store, and I don't know what you guys have on hand. But I am really excited. This smells so good. Here's breakfast for day 6. We are eating outside for breakfast today just because my little ones were up early and the weather's been nice, so we're just eating outside. I am having my 3 pancakes with diced apple. The apple still hasn't browned yet. Putting it in the little container with water in the fridge, but I'm about to eat my breakfast. I am hungry. For my lunches for days 1 through 4, I am making this lentil and rice stew. So to the pan on my stove, I added 2 tablespoons of water along with a small part of my onion and jalapeno that I diced. I'm going to let this saute for a few minutes. Next, I'm adding in 1.5 cups of my dry lentils. I did rinse them in my over the sink strainer just to clean them a little bit first. Now I'm adding in 1.25 cups of my brown rice along with 5 cups of water. Next, I'm going to add in 5 cloves of minced garlic. I am adding in my garlic because we got it from the store. I'm not really adding in any other seasonings just because I didn't pick up any seasonings from the store, and I really don't know what you have at your house as far as seasonings, but I'm going to let this simmer on my stove for about 35 minutes or until the lentils and rice are tender. If you need to add more liquid while this is cooking, go ahead and do so just so it cooks evenly. But then I added in 1.5 cups of our frozen mixed vegetables. I let the vegetables cook and then I served this up. Here is what my plate looks like. I am serving this with a biscuit for the days 1 through 4 for lunch, and this is actually surprisingly really good. I do wish it had a little bit more flavor, so if you have seasonings on hand, go ahead and season it. I stored the rest of it in these containers and placed it in the fridge for my lunches. Now that my beans are finished soaking overnight, just look at how different they look now. Just strain the water out of the beans, then add your beans into a large pot of water on the stove. I seasoned the beans just with a dash of salt and pepper and let this simmer on your stove for about 2 hours or until the beans are tender. I do want to let you know, if you want to use other seasonings that you have on hand, go ahead and do so. I do suggest bay leaves, garlic powder, paprika, Italian seasoning, and onion onion powder, but pinto beans are really good by themselves too. They really don't need seasonings, but if you want to amp them up a little bit, go ahead and throw some seasonings in. Now that my pinto beans are tender, I am just going to let them cool down completely. Then I'm going to store them in a large container in the fridge for the week. For my lunches, days 5 through 7, I am having these pinto bean brown rice tacos. I'll heat the pinto beans up just in a little bowl in the microwave. Here's what lunch is looking like for days 5 through 7. I have 3 corn tortillas right here. I'll either be eating like 2 or 3 for the next few days, just depending on what I want. And then I top the corn tortillas with a little bit of pinto beans or brown rice and then some fresh produce. I just did the jalapenos, onion, and diced tomatoes. I did a very small amount of the produce just because I want it to stretch for the next few days. But since I am halfway done with this week, I do want to let you know how things are going and how I am feeling. I'm just going to start out with breakfast because it's the first meal of the day. Typically at breakfast time, I eat like a small bowl of oatmeal. I don't eat quite a lot for breakfast on normal days just because I have my little ones running around that I am trying to help and feed. So at breakfast time, I've been eating more than normal, and that has led me to not feeling like I need to snack in between breakfast and lunch, which is great. So I am able to hold myself over until lunchtime without any snacks. And then lunchtime has been a bit more than normal as well. On some days for lunch, I just don't eat much just because I'm running around my house with my little ones trying to help them. But these lunches have been bigger than normal, which leads to not needing snacks at like 3 p.m. I don't know about you, but like every day around 3 p.m. I just snack a little bit, but I haven't needed to snack these past few days, which is really nice. And then for dinner time has been great as well. I haven't been craving like fast food. I haven't been craving snacks or sugar in my pantry. So I am really happy at how well I have been doing so far and how delicious these meals are. I'm going to eat this lunch right now. Now for dinner on day 1, I am making this lentil and veggie skillet. So I measured out a half a cup of lentils. Now I'm dicing a small amount of my onion and I'm mincing 5 cloves of garlic. Over to the pan on my stove, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of water. Next, I'm adding in the onion and garlic. I'm going to saute this around for about 2 minutes. Next, you're going to want to add in your lentils. Just toss those lentils right in there. Then add in about 1.5 cups of water. Now I'm adding in 1/3 cup of my frozen mixed vegetables. Give this a stir, and then I did season this just with a dash of salt and pepper. Let this simmer covered for about 20 minutes, stirring it occasionally, and my house was smelling so good once this was through cooking. Here's what dinner looks like on day 1. It really was so good. It didn't make a ton of it, so that is why I am just having it for dinner on day 1. I finished my bowl and it was really delicious, and this is eating for $1 a day for myself. The rest of my family is eating what they would normally eat for the week. Here's what dinner looks like for days 2 through 5. I crisped up my corn tortillas just on the stove, and they crisped up so nicely without any oil. And then I topped them with our cooked pinto beans. As you see, the pinto beans are like perfectly soft, and then a little bit of the onion, fresh tomato, and jalapeno. I am excited to eat this for dinner. It looks so good and fresh. For dinner on days 6 and 7, I am having these eggs and beans, so I'm adding my eggs into the pan on the stove, and then on day 6, I am using 2 eggs, and on day 7, I'll just be using 1 egg. Crack your eggs over the beans, and then I'm just seasoning them with a dash of salt and pepper. Cook your eggs through at this point, and this is so easy. Then you just have to serve it up. I'm serving mine with some crispy corn tortillas on the side. I crisped up my corn tortillas just on a pan on the stove. I didn't use any oil or any water. They crisped up really nicely. Then I topped mine with a little bit of the produce that I have left. I'm about to eat my last dinner for this week, but before I do that, I do want to fill you in and let you know how things actually went. So first off, I do wish some of the meals had a little bit more seasoning to them besides salt and pepper. Just simple seasonings like chili powder and Italian seasoning would go a really long way. Also, I do wish some of the meals had cheese, but I just had these meals with simple salt and pepper, and I do think they still had a lot of flavor. They were good. I didn't feel like I was forcing myself to get through a meal. They were delicious. Next, all of these meals left me full in between meals, so I wasn't needing to snack. I did have a couple cuties at the end of this week. I just had some on hand that I ate. If you're looking to eat for a little over $1 a day, I definitely recommend trying this. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next video. I'll see you there. Bye for now.